What's up, guys? Hey, with UFC 300 this weekend, I was checking out the odds and I was shocked. I'm going to get into that. I cannot believe what they're allowing Bo Nickal to do in this fight. It's ridiculous, but I'll get into all that and a lot more. But hey, guys, new channel. I appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll keep these videos coming out.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So when I first saw this Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage fight announced, I wasn't thrilled. I'm like, come on, man. Bo Nickal, world class. We're talking about a guy that might be able to be champion today. And you're putting him against Cody Brundage. Nothing against Cody Brundage. He's a good fighter. He's not even close to the level of a Bo Nickal right now. He just doesn't have it. And if you don't believe me, check out what the odds makers. He's broke the record again for biggest favorite on a card. Imagine this, guys. If you bet $100 on Bo Nickal to win, it's bad odds. You usually think, oh, well, I'll get 20 bucks. You get $3. You win $3. You put up 100 to win 3. How does a match like that in this modern day even get made? I'm surprised the commission would even sanction it. If the gamblers know it's this much of a mismatch, that's dangerous. You know, you're talking about commissions that they want parity. They won't let rookies come in. They let that kid come off the street to fight Sean O'Malley when he got bludgeoned. Chris Mahino, I think was his name. Chris Mahino was a tough guy, and he took a beating, but they let him come in, and guess what? He was a closer, in the odds makers' eyes, to beating Sean O'Malley than this is with Bo Nickal. Remember when Daniel Cormier lost his fight at the last minute and they grabbed a barista and put him in the main event with Daniel Cormier? Guess what? That was a closer odds than this Patrick Cummings, who was working as a barista the week before he fought Daniel Cormier, was a better odds to beat Cormier than Cody Brundage is to beat Bo Nickal. If that doesn't tell you how bad of a mismatch this is, well, you can talk about the star power on this card, but that's just ridiculous. Are we going to make him fight two people in one night? Like, what are we doing here? Because Bo Nickal, come on. I mean, you can bring people up slowly, and I'm all for that. But you gotta, the way he has dominated and the way he has wrecked people with his pedigree of wrestling, I don't understand why he's not fighting somebody in the top 5, top 10 maybe, you know, somebody just outside of that. Why isn't he getting one of those guys right now? I mean, Chimaev and him, who wouldn't want to see that fight? Yeah, maybe Chimaev's a little high up on the food chain, but still you gotta have somebody else. Maybe a Chris Weidman, you know, somebody with a little bit more on there. I don't know, Sean Strickland a little bit too high up, but a Weidman would be a great fight. I'd like to see Chris Weidman, Bo Nickal build a name. Maybe a Brad Tavares. Well, Chris Curtis would have been a good one before he got hurt. You know, even in Allen and Brendan Allen, I would love to see that matchup. That's where he's at right now. He's at the Chris Curtis, Brendan Allen level, right? Just outside that top 5. So to put him against Brundage, that's just insulting. That's insulting to the fans. That's insulting to the bettors. That's insulting to the entire UFC 300 card, which is, other than that fight, really competitive. The only other real mismatch on this card, according to the odds makers, is Kayla Harrison versus Holly Holm. But there's 2 fights going on. You got Kayla Harrison versus the scale, and then again after Holly Holm. So that does change things. It adds at least an element of, okay, can she make the weight? If she makes the weight, will she be able to recover? You know, we all know Holly's got some sick striking, and those legs come out of nowhere. Just ask Ronda Rousey. And if she can catch her with one of those with a dehydrated brain, you don't know what happens. Plus, she's coming off a loss. Larissa Pacheco beat her last time out. So that makes it totally understandable. I'm just worried because I've been watching the UFC embedded. I'm not going to lie. Kayla Harrison already looks like a skeleton. I don't know how she's going to get to 135. Apparently, she probably will. But man, I don't know. That takes some serious... The dietitian there is working overtime, and I hope they've got doctors close just in case it goes wrong, because it's going to be a scary, scary cut. Speaking of weight cuts, Jamal Hill. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, this guy is actually really good with his natural ability, the way he sees strikes coming, hearing his coach say he's the best striker in the history of the UFC or whatever he said. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know, it might be right. So I started to think maybe he has a chance. Then I talked to some people. Turns out he's had a hard time making weight because he had a lot of extra weight after the Achilles injury. Why? Because he can't run. He can't run. If he's not running yet or jogging, how the heck is he going to go in there? And this is a fighter who survives on that God-given athletic ability that he has, that freak, speed, strength. And you take an Achilles injury, and what that does is it slows it down 5-10% maybe. And that 5 or 10% is a split second between getting knocked out and knocking somebody out. As much as I kind of thought Jamal Hill had a chance, if that Achilles is bad, zero chance. And he spent most of this camp not training for Brahera, making weight. And that's a bad sign, guys. That's a bad sign when you spend your whole camp making weight and not actually preparing for your opponent. So I like to bet on the fights. I'm a big fan of just putting a few bucks here, a few bucks there. I ran through the card and I was just looking at odds. That's when I noticed the Bo Nickal debacle that is, seriously, $10 to win 36 cents. Really? But getting past that, I like Yuri Prochazka on this card. Yuri Prochazka is a plus 105 underdog, which is essentially a pick'em, but I don't think it's a pick'em. Yuri Prochazka supposedly had some sort of a staph or infection when he fought Brahera, which is why he says he gassed. He didn't use it as an excuse. These are things that came out later by his camp and other people. But he fought Alex Brahera hard, and he easily could have won that fight. And he never lost that title. He had it stripped from an injury also. I like Yuri Prochazka to beat Rakic on that one. Another one on this card that really caught my attention is, are people sleeping on Oliveira? Oliveira is a former 155-pound champion. How in the heck is he a plus 185 dog to Sarkisian? And don't get me wrong, Arman Sarkisian is a bad dude. But to be a plus 185 dog, I don't see that. So I'll take this fight, which is a coin flip in my opinion, but you get plus 185. So I like Oliveira on that one. Now the other one, I wouldn't have said this at the beginning of the week, but knowing what I know about Jamal Hill's camp, what about his sparring and the fact that there's no kicks being thrown and he's not throwing kicks, they're not being thrown at him, I don't know that he can defend the kicks coming from Brahera. And how is that Achilles going to hold up? Sometimes when you have these surgeries, I've had a ruptured Achilles. I had it repaired. It has a lot of tingling sensations in the back of it. I can't imagine if somebody kicked me there, and I'm a couple years out. I couldn't imagine that, 8 months after my surgery, to have somebody kick me right in the Achilles. Oh, so on that reason only, I like Brahera. He's minus 125 favorite, which is kind of a pick'em. I like those three bets. Those are my locks for UFC 300. Obviously, they change if anything goes on during the weight cut. I watch the weigh-ins really closely to see who looks dehydrated. Is there a limp? I'm always watching for stuff like that. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking out the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.